Southeast Asia is experiencing its wettest and harshest rainy season in years this year. Southern Thailand is suffering from record-breaking floods. The area known as Hat Yai has endured the heaviest rainfall in 300 years. Rainfall reached up to 600 millimeters in just the city was isolated, with thousands of tourists unable to. Central Vietnam is also submerged in widespread flooding. Prolonged rain has forced many provinces to estimated damage amounts to hundreds of millions of US. The Philippines has been hit by two powerful storms since its Typhoon Kanmon and Typhoon Vuong Toang recently made landfall, causing widespread flooding, strong winds, and landslides. Malaysia is also experiencing a prolonged flood season, with 8 states inundated. Over 20,000 people had to be displaced in just one day at the end of November. In total, millions of people across Southeast Asia have been affected, and hundreds have lost their lives. Worryingly, such extreme weather events are occurring more frequently and intensely. Why does Southeast Asia have to endure so many floods? Suffer the wrath of heaven. Let's explore a bit about the flood situation in Southeast Asia. Vietnam, especially the central region, frequently floods partly due to its terrain characteristics. Looking at the map of central Vietnam, you'll see there are very narrow areas, and places that aren't narrow are very steep. From the East Sea, moisture-laden winds blow in, and are blocked by the steep Trong Son mountain range. Unable to cross, the moisture is compressed, accumulates, and pours down along short, steep river basins. The dangerous feature of central rivers is that they are short, steep, with water rising and falling rapidly. Just a few hours of rain can raise water levels from normal to emergency flood levels. Not only north-central Vietnam, but south-central Vietnam and therefore, central provinces are either severely flooded or lightly flooded. Flooded quickly or even violently flooded. In 2005, prolonged rain saturated the soil, and now it continues to receive new rain spells. One can imagine the soil now like a sponge soaked with water, unable to absorb more. Just a low-pressure system passing by is enough to cause water to overflow banks, forcing many areas to evacuate. The storm doesn't need to make landfall. Just moving offshore is enough to bring heavy rain to the central region, like unlocking a massive wall of water. The central region's drainage infrastructure was designed to cope with river floods. But this year, continuous, unrelenting rain has overloaded systems everywhere. Q is flooded, Tam KY is flooded, Moreover, hydropower reservoirs upstream are forced to release floodwaters, causing floodwaters to rush down to the plains faster and more. That's in Vietnam, while in Thailand, the severely affected area this year is not Bangkok, the famously flood-prone city of southern Thailand. This area includes Hat Yai and Songkhla. In 2025, this area recorded rainfall of up to 600 millimeters in just a few days. This figure is considered the highest in 300 years. The terrain here has many low-lying areas, swaths, and when heavy rain occurs, water cannot drain quickly and accumulates in low-lying. Deep flooding has isolated many cities. The airport had to suspend operations. Many people were unable to leave the city for several consecutive days. Another major difficulty in southern Thailand. This is a very important area for tourism and maritime transit. Heavy rain caused roads to be cut off, leaving thousands of trucks and containers. Cargo ships also had to anchor due to rough. As a result, tourism, commerce, and goods circulation were all stalled. The Philippines bears the brunt of most typhoons from the Pacific and Southeast Asia. Almost said, this island nation stretches across a sea area considered a breeding ground for typhoons. This is a place where humidity and sea surface temperatures are constant. The higher the temperature, the easier water vapor evaporates, thereby making strong typhoons often have ample time. When they hit the Philippines, they are like a giant gaining speed. In 2025, two typhoons, Hinmei and Fangwon, made landfall in succession. Soil and rocks in many places had not yet dried before being hit by new rounds of rain. Flash floods and debris flows occurred too quickly, leaving many areas with no time to evacuate. The Philippines also faces a similar problem to Vietnam. Narrowing upstream areas and rapid natural water flow is obstructed, and they also face other disadvantages. For example, many residential areas are located close to mountain slopes, on weak and landslide. Even before the rain arrives, these already cracked slopes are just waiting for the moment to collapse. Malaysia also had to endure disaster. Malaysia does not face strong typhoons like the Philippines or floods like Vietnam, but it suffers from the persistent and widespread effects of the monsoon. Every year from November, the northeast monsoon blows from the South China Sea, bringing prolonged heavy rain lasting. The problem is that in 2025, this rain arrived earlier than expected and lasted longer than usual. The Malay Peninsula inherently has low-lying terrain, but its river system is fragmented into hundreds of short rivers. Excessive rain causes water to be stored and drained too slowly. resulting in floods occurring in many places. The peak was on November 25th, when nearly 25,000 Malaysians had to be evacuated in just some states like Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, which face floods annually, saw floods twice as severe as. Looking at Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, and Malaysia, we see a common problem. Each place is different, but all are pushed into an unavoidable position in the battle against natural disasters. Let's explain each point in detail. Why did Southeast Asia have so many floods this year? To understand the reason, look at Southeast Asia from above. This is a map of the region. Imagine the entire region as a crossroads of global climate currents. To the right is the vast Pacific Ocean, to the left is the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean is also very wide and has a hot, humid. These two oceans have long been famous for generating enormous amounts of moisture. This moisture continuously evaporates day and night. Southeast Asia lies at the intersection of these two moisture flows. It's like a person standing between two fans set to mist mode. Being constantly wet makes it difficult to, but this is wetness on a regional, national, and climatic scale. The uniqueness of Southeast Asia is that it is unlike any other region. In Europe, there are many dry plains. In East Asia, there are mountain ranges that block seaways. In North America, it is far from the tropical. Southeast Asia, however, spreads across an area of large and small islands, with curved coastlines that receive winds from all directions. The rainy season in Southeast Asia already brings very heavy, but now, the ocean is changing its rhythm, causing even more rain. As a result, the entire region is experiencing record-breaking downpours. Looking closely at the map, you'll see geographical features that make countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines vulnerable when the climate fluctuates. For example, central Vietnam lies within the East Sea and the Truong Son Mountain. This area is like a narrow trough. Winds blowing from the sea hit the mountains, blocking their path, and clouds accumulate and cause intense heavy rain. Just a low-pressure system passing through, and central Vietnam immediately becomes a record-breaking rainfall area. Thailand is situated on a narrow strip of land sandwiched between two seas. The Andaman Sea on one side, two sea lands seen right overhead. Right there, clouds and rain form, creating a natural rain funnel. The Philippines is a given. This island nation lies on the highway of tropical storms from the Pacific. Most major storms sweep through here before making landfall in Vietnam and China. Steep volcanic terrain, sloping valleys, and year-round high humidity all cause the Philippines to shift from clear skies to flash floods in just a few hours. So, their constant experience of major storms is probably not unfamiliar to Filipinos. But this year, storms and floods are even more terrifying. The weather has already been erratic, and climate change is precisely what makes everything more extreme. Talking about climate change might sound a bit abstract, but specifically, it's like, for example, 2024 was recorded as the hottest year in human history, with the global average temperature rising by 1.55 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-enough 1.55 degrees Celsius might be a level we adjust the air conditioning without clearly feeling, or even going outside. But 1.55 degrees Celsius to the sea surface is a very significant change. 1.55 degrees Celsius causes more water vapor to evaporate. More water vapor forms more clouds. More clouds needing suitable conditions cause more rain. That is, massive downpours instead of the scattered light rains of the past. The Southeast Asia region is surrounded by seas whose warming nearly twice as fast as the global average. So naturally, more and heavier water vapor accumulates in the sky of this region, and when it falls, it becomes heavier rain. Southeast Asia hasn't had time to adapt to these changes. The drainage systems were still designed according to climate conditions from 10 to 20 years ago, even the last century. Streets are completely paved with concrete. New urban areas are built without leaving soil for water to seep through. Forests are shrinking, coastlines are eroding, all creating an ideal environment for heavy rains. 2025 may not yet be the record-breaking rainy year compared to the coming years. It is precisely this combination that created the historic flood season of 2025. In other words, Southeast Asia was already a vulnerable region, already a high rainfall area. But this year, nature is even harsher and more unpredictable. And when the two oceans, the Indian Ocean on one side and the Pacific Ocean on the other, both push moisture in one direction, while the global climate warms to the point where it's hard to increase cloud capacity, what happens can only be called record-breaking. Unfortunately, in the future, these records will no longer be rare. That's just feared that each year will break records again, making people. Thank you for following this story. If you found it interesting, please subscribe to the Hidden Ledger channel, turn on notifications, and share. Now, it's time to say goodbye. Subscribe to the Guy and Nico channel so you don't miss exciting videos.